Good morning, everybody. Another beautiful fall day. Plenty of examples of leaves falling. It's not turning cold yet, so they're not falling because of that. They just mature and fall off occasionally. It's still a busy morning. I'm up early enough, but not as early as I normally am. But I still got a lot of traffic, people going into work. So the subject for today, and I'm teaching this on Yom Kippur, is that why are we looking for the rapture now? Why are people predicting it? And they've learned, as I have kind of followed, to not come out and say it is on this day. They just call it a high watch day, so I follow that. I don't give you a date. I keep insisting that we're not going to know, that we can't determine it. We can get the season, and we're definitely in the season, but we can't come up with a date. And I don't think that it's going to fall necessarily on any religious holiday. But it is in the season. All we have to do is just look at what's going on around us. But why are we picking these fall holidays? Well, one, the 4 spring holidays have already happened. They've already been regenerated, reused when Jesus was here. He fulfilled those. So we have the 3 remaining fall ones that haven't been fulfilled. And we've already made it through trumpets. We're still here. This is the Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement. Right now I'm still here, but I could disappear any moment. Then we have Tabernacles, Sukkot coming up, end of the month, and that's an 8-day feast. And we know that if we're looking at the Revelation 12 sign and the Satan coming to earth vision, and the child is born and he's going to try to kill the child, there is 8 days of tabernacles in there that could match that up. There's still plenty of time to get the fall feasts in, because no matter what length of time you've got the tribulation down for, there's at least 3.5 years, more than likely 7. But in any case, there's plenty of time to fit them in. With us gone, we don't even need to be here. And frankly, they're part of the 70th week of Daniel, the switching back from the Gentile age to the Jewish age. God is going to focus on them. He's going to pull all the stops out and focus on them. That's why they have the 2 witnesses, miracles galore to wake people up. The whole world's going to hate them because they're going to make things start, or at least take claim or be part of the end times problems. They're going to rejoice and celebrate and give everybody gifts when they're killed. And then they're going to be shocked when they get caught up. And the 144,000, same thing. 144,000 Christian Jews focusing on getting everybody's attention. And the Antichrist is going to step right up and give them a proper welcoming to the 144,000 by defiling the temple and letting the Jews realize, oops, this was not the Messiah. And then they're going to be reminded. Okay, so that's some of the things coming. So many are predicting the rapture over these holidays. They do it every year, and they've been doing it for the last over 6 years. We're into the 7th year. We're into the month of Tishri now, which is the time for these. It is a season. If we look at Ecclesiastics, there is a time and a season for everything. Let's just kind of turn to that and take a look. Ecclesiastics is on the New Testament side of the middle. You've got Proverbs and Psalms right in the middle, And then you go and you can got Ecclesiastes. So Ecclesiastes 1, and we just read this in one of my other videos. To everything there is a season, a time for a purpose under heaven. This is what these guys that do these timelines do, like Dr. Beria. They look up at these and they say, well, look, all these things happened on this date. This would be a perfect date to have a rapture. And they're right, barring any other evidence that we may have for another date. Knowing, of course, that God's going to do things on his time frame, not just because we think it lines up. So that's one of the reasons there. Everything has a season, and he gives us seasons. We won't know the day or the hour of his return, not the rapture, of his return, second coming, but we will know the season. Same thing with the rapture. We don't have anything specifically for a date, but we know. He told us what to look for. Wars and rumors of wars. You know, all these things that are talked about in Matthew are telling us that the season is here. We know from the fig tree that we're in the season. So we are watching. But again, why this? So let's look at some of the examples we have. Well, a couple of quick verses here. I just wanted to tie this in. Malachi 3:6. For I am the Lord and I do not change. So if he's done something one way in the past, he's going to do it the same way or a similar way. He's easy to predict. Lovingly predictable. Okay? He doesn't like to deal out punishment, which is coming. But he lovingly deals out good things to us. And that's what he really wants to do. The punishment is really self-inflicted for most people. We don't walk where we're supposed to, and we get run over. God told us where to walk. He knew where the safe place was, and we went another way because we think we either know better or don't totally trust him. Trust and faith takes time, unfortunately. And we, as early Christians, we run off in all different directions trying to please the Lord, and nothing works. And then we kind of give up hope and going, okay, I must be totally wrong. This is wrong. No, it's not. You didn't do it the right way. In everything we do, we need to be calling on him to lead us. And finally, one more tying in this time of the season, Hebrews 13:8. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Do not be carried about with various and strange doctrines. We've had those forever, and they're still out there, and they're still doing their jobs. Satan's real good at creating copycats, but not quite. Close, but no cigar. You ever been to a fair and they have an arcade or something, and you're throwing your baseballs at the metal milk jugs, and you got 2 down or whatever, and you miss? Close, but no cigar. It doesn't count unless you get it right. You don't win the prize unless it's perfect. The basketball hoops, you got to throw the ball in. Of course, those hoops are smaller than normal. The ball will fit, but it's almost impossible to get a swoosh right down the middle. You got to be perfect. They know it. It's all planned this way. These are fundraisers. Not for you, but for them. Okay. So what else has happened on this date? Again, if you really want to do this, go look up Beriah's teachings. He's got a timeline it's very colorful, picturesque. He has tried to predict the date in the past, and he's still harping on this time right now, but I can see the connection from he's always done this before, but there are days that we can also associate. You can't sit there and say this is the only date that this can happen, because God proves us wrong all the time on things like that. But on this date, Rebecca was born, the wife of Isaac, one of the matriarchs. Having a supportive wife is important, especially as a prophet. You will need a shoulder to cry on all the time as a prophet. Jeremiah, the weeping prophet, he was known because he had nothing but bad news. He was so bad news that they locked him up just because they didn't want to hear it anymore. But they found out eventually that he was telling the truth on everything. Okay, we have the story of Moses going up on the mountain the first time, 40 days, spending time with God, coming down with the tablets, seeing the golden calf, throwing them to the ground. These are the tablets that were created by God, God's hand. He sees the tablets, goes back up on the mountain for another 40 days and nights, trying to talk God out of destroying the people again, like he did with Noah. He persuaded God. Then he told Moses, okay, now this time, I wrote it the first time, you got to write them because you broke them. So he wrote them, 10 Commandments, brought them back down. And they had their time of atonement. That lines up with Yom Kippur. So things throughout history line up. So we know that the dates can line up with other important date events. The only problem we have with the rapture is we don't really have a date event. Now, you can argue different things, that God saved the people, he rescued them, or whatever. Okay, well, the rapture is a rescue, we're being saved. You can line up stuff like that, but scripturally it's really hard to find that. We know, what kind of a big truck is this? Or is that a school bus? Nope, it's a truck pulling a trailer, a big trailer. You can hear it working hard. We don't know, so we have to be ready. We're told to be ready. The 10 virgins were told to be ready. Some were, some weren't. That's what we have to do because we don't know. But it is definitely the season. Let's see, where are we at now in the season? We got about 90% of the banks in the world are working on going digital. The other 10% probably are. They're just not announcing it. Your money is going to be worthless soon. Technically, it is worthless. Our fearless leader gets up and says, well, the economy was flat when I was elected, and I've got it to where it is booming. It's the best it's ever been. His nose should be 100 miles out by now. Pinocchio. We don't know who's working the strings, but he's definitely Pinocchio. I put up my little picture of the little hamburger container. A lot of times they just raise the price, but they're trying to keep the government looking good. So what they do in cases like that, they don't raise the price, they make the packaging smaller. Remember boxes of cereal? They used to be gigantic boxes, and now they're smaller by at least a third. They look the same. They have a bag inside. Now, I understand why on some packaging, like chips, they have to pump all this air in there. And people complain, I'm not buying air. It's for your good that they're doing that because it protects the packaging inside. Your chips don't get squished. Okay? But they are downsizing at the same time. It's all an illusion. It's trickery, lies, deceit. It's everywhere. From our government down. Hillary Clinton comes up and goes, well, I bet the Russians are getting ready to try to rig this next election coming up like they did the last one, or try to rig it. We proved over and over again that the first thing was a hoax. It was put on by a false document, and then it was replicated from that. The government got somebody to lie to create the false document, and then that became their football that they were going to carry the rest of the way. And we proved it was all lies. We proved the CIA, the FBI are lying to the American people. And now Hillary's bringing it up again. But there are people that still believe it. I think that Trump is ahead 10% in the polls. Of course, we know the polls don't really mean anything because they lie as well. Both the poll takers and the poll givers are lying. Who are you voting for? Oh, I'm voting for AOC for president. She's not running for president. Oh, darn. Well, I'll vote for the next idiot. And we have them. And they do the same thing on the exit polls. Who'd you vote for? Let's see, which side am I on? And then they tell the opposite. They're Democrats, and they go, I voted for Trump, in hopes that they will convince people that they're not voting where they really are. It's all lies. We're in the season. The rapture is imminent. It's been imminent for a long time. I've talked about it before. Paul was looking for the rapture, and he was disappointed when he wasn't. So it's been imminent since the writing of the Bible. But things couldn't happen that were in prophecy until recently, until we got Israel. We had the Yom Kippur War in 73, another event. Both sides thinking that, well, nobody should go to war on this day. This would be a good day to attack. It was very costly in personnel for Israel, but they did win, miraculously. We're definitely in the season. It would be a good time. Tabernacles would be a better time for the Revelation 12 rapture. But that's only a month away. I am still looking for a place. I'm having some trouble finding a place. I have something on my credit that doesn't belong there. I had no control over it. I tried to buy my first house, and I had somebody on my credit report. That wasn't me. We finally got the whole thing and looked at the social, and it wasn't the same. I've got something on there that does have the right social, but it's not me. I'm trying to get it off, but it keeps me from getting a rental. I can't get into an apartment complex. So I'm trying to find a place where I can get into where I'm talking to an individual. Now, I'm going through the motions because I personally believe I don't need a place, that we're not going to be here. But if I'm wrong, I've got to have a place. My fail-safe is to go back to tent camping. One thing that I've learned with God, and this is something that you've got to apply to yourself. Ask God for help to do something. In every task that you're going to do, talk to God about it. We're supposed to talk daily to Him anyway. Pray without ceasing. But at least a daily prayer minimum. Ask about everything. I've asked Him about getting into a place, and I'm hitting roadblocks and roadblocks and roadblocks. I'm not doing something wrong. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. The roadblocks are there to keep me from doing what God doesn't want me to do. Since we can't hear Him, God doesn't say, Larry, don't do this. But the roadblocks tell me, He says, don't do this. But I have to keep trying because I've promised people that I'm here temporarily. So I have to live up to that. I know that I'm probably not going to find a place. But I will keep doing what I have to do. I got to call somebody today to talk about a place. I don't really want to live there, but I have to talk to them. I think by the time I can't move anyway until I come up with 2 months worth of rent. That's why I did my little fundraiser for a little while. It's not easy, but I got virtually nothing on that. Living expenses I get help with. I'm not getting help on that. I'm thinking, why would God not help me to live having a place to live is essential. It's one of our needs that God promised He'd take care of. But it's not happening. I'm not worried. But I have to convince people that I'm looking, because we're staying here in a crowded place. We're staying for this short time. I've got till the middle of October. I don't get paid again until October 9th or 10th anyway. I'll go about the steps that I promised I would do here and keep looking. But I keep getting blocked. God is controlling this path. That to me is a sign that I don't have to worry about where we're going to live here shortly. That's my seasonal sign. Now, I could be interpreting it wrong. It could be that I just haven't gone to the right place yet. God has a perfect place. Everything's perfect when God's doing it. It's never perfect when we're doing it. Never. We get second best. Now we got the 3 bowls of porridge, and we're looking for the right one that's just right. And we settle for the other 2. We don't need to. We got the good one. Everything that God does for us is perfect. So there's either 2 conditions. I haven't found the perfect place, or the perfect place is in heaven, and we're coming up on that. I keep getting the impression, and I'm getting it from the other watchmen too, that something major, extremely major, is going to happen over the next month. Well, less than a month now. Between now and Tabernacles, which I think Tabernacle starts on the 1st and goes for 8 days, 7 days with an extra grace day on the end. I think that's a good possibility. So it ends on the 8th, and I've got till the 15th to find a place to live. And I promised I'd be out of here by then. So God has to live up to that one way or the other. Be watching. Be ready. We don't know anything. Not knowing the day or the hour has nothing to do with the rapture. That's the second coming, and that's a few years in the future. But we really don't have anything to tell us about the rapture. We know it's coming. We know it's here. We just don't know when. I can pretty well guarantee that when you're looking at raptures, there are 3 in the Bible. There's a pre-trib, a mid-trib, and a post. I can guarantee that the Christians are not going to be around at the post. The new Christians will be, but the Christian and the Jews, they're going to all accept Christ. The remnant will pretty much all go into the tribulation, those that are left. Mid-trib, they're going to get a lot of the people out of the way because there's going to be a lot of bad things happening. The wrath of God comes after the abomination, and we're not subject to wrath. So there is a mid-trib one, but there's a pre-trib to start things off. We're in the way. See, all the scriptures tie into all this. There's no problem in believing this. We just don't know the timing. That's why you have to be ready. Now, that doesn't mean to physically go out and buy a lamp and keep oil in it. But it could be. The power could go out. That could be one of the major things coming up. They could shut the power grid off. In which case your little phone that you carry around will do nothing for you. No good whatsoever. You won't be able to use it. Satellites won't work. I won't be able to upload my videos. All these things are possible soon. Tell your friends time is running out. The alternative is hellish. And nobody would want that. You can't compare this earth, this planet, this time we live in, to either heaven or hell. It falls short of heaven and it falls short of hell. So people that are looking at this going, this isn't bad. I can survive hell. The lies of Satan. Or heaven's not that good. More lies of Satan. Be ready. It's almost time. Till we meet in the clouds. God bless.